Hey guys, Tom here. Just showing what I've been working on today. It's been my day off. I had to go into uni, so I've spent about 7 or 8 hours on the build today. Unfortunately, a lot of that time has been going around in circles. I alluded to a problem that I've been having on our Facebook page, and it's to do with the model's pivot point, or the axis where the axis begins. Max calls it a pivot point. But we need a standard for where this pivot point is, and I'll show you what I mean. Here's Ashley's shrine model that he's put in Dropbox. If I put that down, we have nice particle effects. It raises from the floor nicely. But the pivot point, the y equals 0 minimum pivot point, needs to be at the base of this model. From a code point of view, that just helps me so much, because it means that I just need to set y equal to the plane's y position, and it will sit nicely on top of the plane. So this plane is at y equals 0. If the pivot point of the shrine is at y equals 0, at the base, sorry, if the pivot point is at the base, I just set y equal to 0, and the shrine sits nicely on top of the plane. So that's the problem I was having. The pivot point was in the middle or at the top, and that if it's at the top, I need to set the y coordinate to the height of the model. If it's in the middle, height divided by 2, which is a nightmare. If it's anywhere else, it's even worse. So if you could help me out and have all your models, the minimum y pivot is at the base, your x and z in the middle of the model, that'd help out a lot. So that's big problem that I was having today. It meant I had to do certain things 3, 4, sometimes even 5 times. I was just going around in circles. Luckily, every time I went around in a circle, I learned something new, so it wasn't totally a waste of time, but I prefer not to have to do that in the future. So here's Ashley's shrine. I've added, from a coding point of view, at the start of an inheritance hierarchy, which I've created a script called selectable, which my barracks script from before inherits from, and it basically makes objects selectable. It's got a protected bool for whether it is selectable. It's got a public return method for other classes outside the inheritance structure, and yeah, it's the start of something pretty good. Tom Phillips had a great idea about where to store the raycasting logic of the mouse, and he created an empty game object and stuck the script on top of that. So I've done that. I've had a look at some of his JavaScript code. I've ported some of it across to C#, and I've implemented that. I've developed it a little bit more, and to the point where it has no public variables exposed, which to me is a real success from a coding point of view. I've been wanting to be able to do classes like that for a while, because it's more like my strict object-oriented stuff that we were taught last year in Game Studio and software design and development. The more public variables you have exposed, and the more things that have access to those public variables, the more potential there is for chaos to ensue. So I'm really happy about that script that I've managed to write based on Tom's idea, because it's got no public variables, and it was quite fun to write. I might actually do a video on exactly how that works. I won't bore you, but yeah, here we are. So this shrine, although it may not in the actual build, has become a barracks. So I've attached the barracks script to this shrine. The barracks script inherits selectable, so it makes this shrine selectable. So if I click, you'll see the particle effects return. That's just a bit of visual feedback to show you that it's selected. It's a placeholder really. It doesn't have to be like that in the final build. It's just a bit like when I had the cubes, I had the rotating cube on top. That's all it is. It's just some visual feedback, so we know that it's selected. So when you select things, it brings the particle effects to the base. And if I press space now, Milosz's Viking Viking pops out, which is great. Basically, any models you throw at me, I'll try in the reasonable time that we've got to put them into this build. Bear in mind the presentation's Tuesday. I'll say if you give me a model before the weekend, I'll try throw it into a build and then record some sort of video that we can put into the tech demonstration. But what we've got at the moment, I think, is pretty fancy for the tech demonstration. But the more you throw at me, the more I'll try and put it in. As you can see, we've got some sort of selecting logic here. The particle effects are ups, and if you click off, the effects stop. So yeah, that's it really for today. If we can get that modeling standard sorted out, if you're not sure how to change your pivot points, Milosz has made a tutorial that I'll link in the description if you haven't already seen it. I think that's it, really. So, like I said, throw models at me, and in FBX format is best. I don't have Max on my computer and I've struggled to get it on, so I can't import directly. Because apparently Unity uses Max's import-export something, I don't know. That was something on a forum that someone said. But FBX for me is better, a lot better. And there we are. So I think we've got something solid for the presentation for tech. It's just a proof of concept really, but I think it works well. So I'll see you guys later.